Hey.
Hey, there you go.
Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2. Okay. Now it should be good.
See, yeah, it changes completely. Yep. How you doing, Danny?
I'm good. How are you, dude?
It's a technical workshop we just put on.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, well, it's like I feel like we're still trying to get back in the flow. Like,
yeah,
I had a week where I got a massive bunch of dental work done, and that interrupted us, and so it was like a false start. But
it's the off-season work. You all need it. It's just like the professional bike racers. This is when they get stuff done. You get a crown replaced, or
that's right.
They don't do that during the season.
Get the old wisdom teeth out. I remember Cavendish had like a big thing happen. Some dental work. I don't think it went like wrong. Did it go wrong? Something was messed up with this dental work one off season. And it messed them up big time. Like it put them back way more than it ever should have. And I just remember that was kind of like a news item during the silly season.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, well, my season is technically wrapping up Sunday.
Yeah, you got
some of us are still racing, but yeah.
That's the last race of the season, correct?
The last two are off for yours truly, and then others are going to nationals the week after, I think. Yeah. I can't go because I'm going on a work trip to New York City, but I wish I could go. I would go. It's in Louisville again. So I think they have it. They're doing it now where they go to cities, whatever city's hosting cross nats, they do it 2 years in a row, I guess, just to make it cheaper, easier, whatever. So they're doing Louisville 2 years in a row. So this year and next year, I believe.
Okay.
They were there previously, and they were there for Cross Worlds.
Was that the first? That was the first U.S. Cross Worlds, correct? Wasn't that?
Yeah, I think it was. It was the first U.S. Cross Worlds, and it was kind of it was interesting. I had a great, amazing time, but it was kind of a shit show. Just real quick, but I don't know if you remember or cared, but
it flooded or something, didn't it?
It flooded the river. It was a stormy thing going on. The river was rising. It was kind of like a movie. Like the whole town, the village folk were like, the storm's coming. And the flood is coming. And it did come. And so they were hot on it with all their experts. I'm like, yeah, this park tomorrow, because it was in a park right alongside whatever river flows through Louisville. And you could see it, like if you're just at the park, oh yeah, that thing's gonna come up. And it was just steadily rising. And they were like, okay, so we have to do 2 full days of racing, all the elites and the pros, like the top ones. They usually have it Saturday, Sunday, right? They're like, we have to do it all in one day, Saturday, tomorrow.
Wow.
And I remember I think it was Niels Albert, who's actually one of my favorite riders of all time in cyclocross. But I remember he was very pouty. He's a Belgian guy. He's like, oh, this is unacceptable, man. The Europeans, man, the Americans, they can't do cyclocross. Like, what the hell? I need my extra day for my preparation. And but anyway, so they had to cram it all into one day, which was, logistics nightmare for a lot of people. It didn't really affect me that much. I was covering it for Peloton at the time. I was just doing like some color, like on social, and I wrote a little race report, what have you. Nothing like big serious news, but for all the others, and especially the Belgian crew and the Dutch crew, they're there. This is like this is the Super Bowl for them. So. And it's the first time in America, so
that was a big deal.
It was huge, yeah. So anyway, they had to bring all the races Sunday to Saturday, and then they had to work a lot of magic logistically. But it turned out to be an amazing day because it did rain, because of the storm we talked about, and so it was a mutter, and so. All the races were mutters, I think. Matthew Vanderpoel won, I think, the U23 or juniors that year. He beat Wout. And then Sven won the elite race. And then I think Mariana Voss won the elite women. She beat Katie Compton, who was the hometown favorite. Anyway, U.S. favorite. Anyway, I digress. But Cross Nats this weekend. We have Sunday. the Montrose Harbor final race of the Chi-Cross Cup, the Chicago Cyclocross Cup series for 2023. Only 8 races this year. I think they've had as many as 10 or 12 before, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, very psyched. It's been a very, as you know, freezing cold week. But I think it's warming up a little bit. We should be in the low 40s for a high on the weekend. So that means I'll probably race when it's around 34, 35. I don't know, something like that.
Your race goes off early, right?
Yeah, they put the old men early because we got to run to Denny's for our senior special.
Sure, yeah, that's right. Although your fields are some of the biggest fields in those races, right? I mean, they're some of the fastest and biggest fields.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
I mean, we definitely, what's interesting. There's there's a big site that everybody uses who races cyclocross called. Sorry if I sound funny. I'm wearing a retainer, but it's called crossresults.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's funny. It's a very dated looking site, but it's really cool and fun if you're into cyclocross. You can slice and dice like everyone's results around the world and just see how everyone stacks up and all this. But one cool thing that they have that I didn't always know about it's not called Velo Viewer. That's a different site that does like
the course, right? That does
it shows like the visuals of the course with GPS and all this. Now this is a little different. I forget what it's called. Anyway, you can click a couple of buttons and it'll show you your lap times compared to all the other riders, and then it'll show each race field compared to other fields on the same course that day. So you can compare speeds of each race. Really? And things like that. It's pretty fun if you want to slice and dice it and just nerd out. Anyway, to your point though, yeah, the 45 plus is my category. So I think we're definitely not the fastest, but we're in the top, I want to say the top 3 fastest races of the day, maybe top 4, something around there. And there's a bunch of races. As you would imagine, the 1-2 race or the 1-2-3 race is the fastest. And then there were some others, but yeah, they race us early, which generally I'm cool with. It kind of, there's pros and cons. So the cons are I have to get up really early, which means Sarah has to get up really early. Yeah. So we have a whole, my coach helped me create it, which was great of him, but we have this whole like plan every race day and we follow it to a T. I do like a printout. It's very pro. Whoa. I'm like, here's our little schedule. And it really helps me because I can get very distracted and I'll like lose track of time. And Sonia, the plan, the little schedule helps. So we get up at 6. We prepare as much as possible the day or two before. So that means loading up the car as much as we can. The only thing I really don't put in the car is like the actual bike, so it doesn't get ripped off. But we'll put a lot of stuff in the car the night before, the day before. And then we'll lay out all our breakfast stuff for the morning as much as we can on the counter. Wow. And the toaster's ready because my go-to meal in the winter or colder months is frozen waffles. And some stuff like that.
That's so that's your pre-race food is like a Lego My Eggo, like one of those.
Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, I do the Kodiak cakes. I don't know if you know that brand, but they're kind of in quotes, they're kind of like the better quality ones. Okay. They have a lot of protein.
Sure. Like so a fancy Eggo, Lego My Eggo.
Yeah, and you know what? If you go to the supermarket and look, you'll see that a lot of these now are calling themselves protein, waffles. Like everyone's like on that wagon. It's like, okay. Anyway, I do those. I do 3 of those, and I do like almond butter. I may do a tiny bit of like a maple syrup, but usually I skip the syrup. And that's just you know what it is? It's a good, plain, easy, digesting, no surprises meal. And it's only really for race day. And then I'll do like banana with that. I'll do a couple cups of coffee, bunch of water, the usual. And then anyway, so then we have our plan. We basically just I get dressed for the first race, for the warm up, for the pre-ride and course inspection. So when I get in the car, I'm pretty much like fully kitted out, except for like I have sneakers on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that look. I like when the riders show up ready to go. Like they hop out of the car and they got the big gym shoes on, their bag. I like that, the tights. It's
totally.
It's like you're showing up for battle.
It reminds me of that whatever 80s 90s movie it was where like the woman starts a job in the city and she's got her like power suit on, but she's all like she's wearing like sneakers.
Yeah.
There's a famous movie scene cover from that. But anyway, yeah. And so or you have like the slides, like the Adidas slides.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's a classic look.
Yeah.
The first guys I ever saw that sporting that look, and I have a fantastic photo of them, was like the Dutch national team at a Super Week race.
Oh, there you go.
I have a photo of those two guys in their track suits, Adidas sandals, sunglasses, just
eating a hunk of cheese.
Oh, they were just they were kicked back, and they were like the coolest looking thing in the middle of like New Berlin, Wisconsin. It was just like one of those things where you're like, who does not belong? Like they didn't belong. They were like so out of place that I felt the need to take a picture of them, and I came across that picture recently, and I'm like, "You're still."
I want to see it.
Yeah, especially like 1987 or 88, Wisconsin. Like those guys really stood out,
Totally. That is a good look. I'm really into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll have like some Stroop waffles maybe. But and then so basically I'm ready to go. And so it's time because most of the races are about 45 minutes to 60 minutes from our door.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it all worked out. And so we drive straight there. We have our coffee to go from our Keurig machine thingy, and then jamming some tunes, get to the venue. I pop out of the car.
Do you have a playlist? Do you have like a preferred playlist? Do you have like race music that you listen to?
So I used to a lot, and now we just kind of play whatever. We have Sirius in the car.
Okay.
And so we just jam like some classic vinyls or, Jenny Elescu or one of those, new wave
the
hits.
Blowfish.
I'm not a big Hootie fan, but like that's cool if that's your jam. We usually jam more like new wave shit. Like we'll be jamming some like early Depeche Mode or something.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Masters
45 plus.
That's right.
That's appropriate.
Right. Yeah, and then my preference would be like metal. I'd play some Sleep. Oh, I got the Sleep T-shirt on. Some Sabbath, whatever.
Wow.
But it's a little heavy for Sarah, so she's kind of like, "Can we just not listen to that kind of music?" I'm like, "That's cool."
Mm-hmm.
You got to make the supporter happy because she's literally just doing all of this for me. So
yeah, if Rita was driving me to the races, I'd have to probably listen to some Enya or something.
Wow, what a flashback!
I'd be so zen.
Sail away. I hear that song one more time in my life, it'll be too many. So then I pop out of the car, and the thing is, it's all about the timing. So we want to get there, and I pop out because there's one race before ours, and that's Masters 35 plus 55 plus. They run them together 2 minutes apart, but they're the event right before our event, and so my race is at 8:50. And so they're off at 8. And so that means I have to be on course by 7:30 to get in like 2 to 3 laps of pre-ride and course inspection. Because after that, I can't ride, of course. And so it's really just like Starsky and Hutch, like jumping out of the car, ripping the bike off the back. I'll get out of the car with my helmet on, my shoes. Like I'm ready to, I am literally ready to race my bike. Like I come out of the passenger seat just looking like dork from work and grab the bike. The pressure is already dialed in. As far as I think it'll be worth it, I'll have a electronic pressure gauge in my jersey pocket. I got my bottle, but you got to keep topping up. So I'll do 2 or 3 laps, and then there's a couple of different ways of doing that, but I won't bore you to death. You do like a slow version, and then you like do it a little bit more at race speed. Kind of like go over a couple of tricky sections if you need to. And try to dial in your tire pressure and anything that's related to that. But then
this is just a pre-ride.
This is a pre-ride.
So this is before even the first race goes on.
Yes. So no one's raced yet.
Yep.
And by the time we get there and I'm doing all this, like, the race is opening up or waking up, so to speak. So Kenny's already on the mic. He's like, "Hello, cyclocross friends. Here we are." He's Kenny LeBay's on the mic, and
that's Kenny LeBay, former U.S. Postal. We have like a local celebrity announcer here in the Chicagoland area.
Former U.S. Postal Service rider and current U.S. Postal employee.
Yeah, that was his gag was that the U.S. Postal team had a postman on the squad at some point. He did some races with Lance, and
yeah,
I mean he
we
raced
got to get
some
him.
big
We got to
races.
get him on the show.
Yeah, well, he's busy right now, but yeah, we should talk to him. He's a really nice guy. When I did those Soldier Field series, the Soldier Field cycling series, he reached out. I didn't even know him, and he reached out to us and volunteered to be the announcer. You know, he's just like,
that was so cool because I remember that. I remember I did a couple of those. I have a couple of pictures, but yeah, I remember it was like Kenny, and I'm like, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah. He did that on his own. We didn't like go and look for him. He just wanted to be a part of the event, and we were happy to have him. He was super nice.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't recognize him this year because I went to the first race. Trying to remember Glenwood Academy, I think was the first one, whatever one it was. And he was there and I saw him and he just looks amazing. Like he has gotten his ass in shape, which is something I'm trying to do, but he looks amazing. So I was like, wow, Kenny. And he's like, hey, so I hadn't seen him in a bit, but it's funny. We actually have, maybe we talked about this previously, but so one of my good friends, totally different dude, Tom Malinowski, he is someone from my friend group up here. He works at the same post office as Kenny.
Wow.
They were like workmates.
Huh.
Yeah, and he's just like, because one day I'm like, hey, do you know Kenny LeBay? He's like, LeBay? He's like, you know LeBay? And I'm like, I know LeBay.
Yeah, wow.
And he's hip. He knows like he was a racer, and yeah, so they work together in the same. And my buddy used to be in a truck out delivering mail, like a mail carrier, but now I think he's in the actual post office now, but I can't remember. But so then, yeah, do you do the course inspection to check everything out? That's usually it's almost always important, sometimes more than others, especially if it's like a tricky course. But anyway, so you do that, you get warmed up. So you're actually warming up yourself, but you're also just trying to like get some IQ for the course and kind of figure some stuff out, get a little recon. Well, sometimes
it's tricky. That's tricky because you're warming up and then there's a race in between your race and that. So there's like that, there's half hour, 45-minute gap between that pre-race and when you start your race, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I do, so let's say I finish my if I'm lucky, I get 3 laps in, one at kind of race speed, and then 1 or 2 kind of just like just literally going around and making sure I can kind of see what's going on the course. Like, oh, is it bumpy? Is this going to be a tricky section? Or transferring from like grass to pavement here if it's raining, that could be important. All this stuff as you do. But then once that's done, I go straight to the reg and I get my number and my pins, and that's all time. So just all these little details matter because like you don't need that number right until like it's my race. Like I need to do the recon first. So like in the past, maybe I wouldn't have thought about that. I'd be like looking for my bib right away, but then I might have missed like 10 minutes of warm up, and then the other guys go off. So anyway, and then just head back to the car, and usually I'm kind of like sweaty already from the warm up, right? And so go back to the car, kind of switch clothes, change into the race suit, the skin suit, kind of dry off a bit, and then kind of got to layer up a little bit, especially as we get into these deeper, colder months. But then it's like pin the number on, and then just keep like topping up with like fluids, a little energy drink. Because when you're racing, it's just all, you're just a calorie, carb burning machine, as my coach would say. So,
and that 45, I mean, that what is a half hour, 45 minutes? Is that what those
we
races?
usually shake out to right around 40. I'd say on the lowest, the shortest we've ever done, because sometimes have to call it a little bit to move things on or something happens. But I think the shortest we've done this season is maybe like 36 minutes, but we've gone as long as I think 43, 45. So I'd say average about 40. It's scheduled for 40.
Okay. So that gap you have between your warm up and doing the getting your number and all of that is only about 30 minutes or so, which goes really fast. I mean, it
goes so fast before I know it. I'm like, oh shit. And, Kenny's like, everyone off the course, or you will be pulled. He has like his things that he always likes to say, but yeah. So, Yeah, then I just do my kind of second race warm up almost,
Mm-hmm.
and so then it's usually on the rollers next to the car.
Okay.
And I'm just spinning just to keep kind of moving, get the blood flowing. I might do a couple spin ups where I kind of like go fast for a minute, just kind of get the heart rate up. I found that I like the rollers, but they don't always work great. One is we're running pretty low pressures on the tires, and on the rollers that can be a little bit like mushy, because you want like more pressure on there, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to keep inflating and taking air out, especially once you dial it in for the course. Anyway, so a lot of times I just ride on the roads around the course. Sometimes that's not ideal for various reasons. Sometimes it is, but it's nicer because you're also like doing a last ditch inspection of the bike, like making sure everything's perfect. Because sometimes you have a last minute thing where like, oh, like I didn't realize this tire was low or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then you can do a couple sprints, couple practice starts. And then it's just off to the start, and then I'll meet Sarah over there. To ditch the jacket, and then you're ready to go and pedal hard.
A peck on the cheek, a good luck, I mean, just it's just like those races. It's just like a professional bike racer,
Joe,
Danny.
We do a long makeout section.
Oh, this is awesome.
French kissing.
My love. You do like a Vinago. He's really sloppy at the start finish line with his lady,
God.
right? He's
keep it in your mouth, son. No, the last thing Sarah probably wants to do is kiss me after I've been like chewing like Cliff Bars and drinking who knows what the hell's in my bottles these days.
Yeah.
Fungus among us.
Yeah.
But it's off to the start, and then they have the staging, and so they have the grid spray painted somewhere, and then it's like they call everyone up. So you have your call ups, which are based on the points. You know how it goes. So, but it's good.
And did you do well enough to get called up? Did you have a little space reserve for you, or were you like all the other racers? Were you with those guys?
To be fair, they call everyone up. I know at crits they usually just do like the top guys and gals, like they do the top 10, 20, whatever, and then it's like everyone else come on up, and everyone like rushes, but crits are so big, you might get 125 riders or more, like Intelligentsia Cup. No, for ours they actually call everyone up, at least for my group, because we had one group. It was supposed to be almost 60, but I think about 50 showed up. It was kind of cold. I'm guessing that's why. But there was a Cat 4-5 race in the last race, which was 2 weekends ago now at out by you in Lamont. They had, I think, about 100 riders signed up, which is really big for cross in this series right now. And I think what they did there, I don't think they called everyone up. I think they called, maybe they did. I wasn't like right there when it happened. I was kind of like standing by this start, like down the road, but they called up a lot of people, and then I think maybe they just said, all right, everyone else come on in. But no, for us they do call everyone up. It goes pretty quickly, especially after the first couple races, because it's a lot of the same folks, and usually your position doesn't change a ton. I mean, hopefully it gets better and better, but a lot of times it stays around the same. And so the refs, the officials, they get to know you, and they know your name, and they learn to pronounce it correctly after a few races. And there's a lot of interesting names because it's Chicago, so it's like a bunch of Polish guys, American guys, Irish guys. It's like it's a funny hodgepodge. Anyway, so no, they stage us, and it's like 8 across, and then we usually go, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 deep. Depends on how many guys are in the race. Wow. I think our group has been averaging, I want to say, close to 50 starters, maybe 45 is the average start. Usually, there's a few DNFs just for whatever reason, and then and then it's just a battle. It tends to be the top 6 guys being top 6, like every week in and week out, and they might shuffle around a little bit there, and then you get like your second tier, middle guys, and then like the third guys.
Sure.
So I guess I've been kind of hanging somewhere in the middle.
What's the big team in your category? Is there a dominant team?
So there's a few teams.
Found this on the web for Is There a Dominant Team?
Oh, wow! I activated my Siri wants to chime in here. Go ahead.
That's funny. I'm just pulling up cross results real quick because I don't want to miss any obvious ones. But so
I remember
606.
I remember Pony Shop used to have, like, locally, a bike shop called Pony Shop used to have a pretty strong masters team. Are they still?
They have I wouldn't say they have a strong masters team. I'd say now their focus is juniors.
Okay.
They have a really big field of juniors. Like once you get to the race, you'll see them all over, like all these little kids in these blue. They have really nice blue kit with white lettering that says Pony Shop, and then they have these like neon high vis helmets, and there's just dozens of them all over the course all day. It's pretty cute, and they're out there just doing battle. But I would say Pony Shop is big for the juniors. There are some older folks who race Pony Shop. I think the owner is Lou Kuhn. And he races in my race. He's fast. He's like a top 10, top 5 guy. And then Pony Shop, there's Burnham Racing, there's Simet. You know the guys who do the wheels? It's PSIMET, Simet, I think it's pronounced.
Yep.
And then there's 606 Racing. They have some of the faster guys.
Really?
They race. Yeah, I think they used to be Gotham Greens, if I'm not mistaken. But 606 Racing, I think it's named after the 606 walkway or whatever. I assume. But what else? Pony Shop, F3, EMC was Elmhurst Racing, EMC2.
Oh, they're the guys just put on the recent race in Le Mans. Is that them? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So there were a ton of them, and there's a bunch of other ones. Flatlandia cycling team is one I see a lot of.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time in the western suburbs. Yeah.
I love the name Flatlandia. It's so perfect. It sounds like a Strava like world or something.
Yeah, their jerseys are
Zwift.
School.
I mean Zwift. And South Chicago Wheelmen.
Another old club. I remember.
Yep.
I recognize those guys.
Spider Monkey.
No, they're all now an older club in the Chicagoland area. They were new when I was down working my last stint at Cycle Smithy, but now they've been around for 15 years or so.
There's the Cuttin Crew. There's a Half Acre Brewery team.
Cuttin Crew, one of the original race teams. Those were bike messengers in the city.
What a great name, you know.
Cuttin Crew, yeah.
And then of course you have Triple X Racing. They have 1 million riders. I would say those are the main ones that come to mind. Sasquatch Squadron, that's a good name.
No, I don't know those guys.
Bonkers Cycling, Wolfpack Bike Racing. There's a bunch. So it's been fun. So I've done all 7 races. I'm planning to do this Sunday. I'll have 8 done. And this is the last hurrah. So it's on, it's at Montrose Harbor on the lakefront. So
it sounds like you've had a good season. Like this is kind of your return season, right? Your return to competition, really, your first full campaign, as they say. As they say, let's start talking bike racing. Let's talk in bike racing terms, Danny. Your first campaign back.
I'm waiting to open the accounts for my wins. Let me put on my slides and my glasses.
Yeah.
These damn Americans. No, I don't know what accent that was, but it's been good. It's been, my quote comeback year. So 4 years off and then boom, right back into it. I am damn glad, Joe, that I did, I didn't do like super serious structured training by any means. But I'm glad I got on the bike this time last year, like for Colorado, because I was riding the year before, but very, very randomly. I might go out for a long weekend ride and do a couple lakefront rides during the week, but definitely no like big intensity or intervals or any of that stuff. I was kind of just like cruising. But anyway, so I'm glad I did that. And then that led up to like last holiday season. As you know, I went to Boulder and then I was like, I wasn't coached there. I was just kind of riding and like, hey, do I want to get back into this? I was trying to feel it out. I'm like, I miss this. This is great. I love everything that comes with this. And, got my butt kicked in some of those, high altitude group rides.
Sure.
But it was great. And, you just, how it is, as Lamont said, you don't get, it doesn't get easier, just get faster. And it's true. It may not be fast, but you do get faster. So, that was a good kick in the pants. And then coming back, I just kind of continued it. And then I re-upped with my coach, or the coaching team, the company. And then got back into the structure. So, that, and I didn't go like full bore 100% because I was still kind of like, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to like go nuts, but I want to have like some structure and
it's finding finding that balance, because I think a lot of times when what leads you to leave the sport is a little bit of burnout, a little overdoing it. It becomes a little overwhelming. You get to that point again where you're stressed because you're not riding your bike, and it's like that's the whole it's like the whole reason you're riding a bike is so you're not stressed. Now you're stressed about riding a bike again. So it's
totally
it's a visual it's a kind of a vicious circle with bike racing. I think once you get a little bit older and you have a better grasp of it and you've been through it a little bit more, and then you learn how to have a little bit more fun with it. I think that's the thing. That's the point that's the thing is like trying to have fun, not crushing yourself because you didn't go for a bike ride or you didn't train that day. Right. There's even now I notice it, that I've gotten on, I'm back on Zwift. There's some nights where I've gone, I missed the workout in the morning and it's like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I could go down right now. I could go log 30, I could go log, knock out 30K or something. And I feel a lot better about myself, but I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's okay. But like, I'll catch myself and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, it's okay. I'll do it in the morning. But yeah, I mean, it bugs me. It bugs me sometimes with, and it feels so much better when I get it out, get that ride out of the way in the morning,
Yeah, I actually had that happen recently to me because I had a saddle sore, which I was able to take care of very quickly, and it wasn't like a bad one, but it was the first one I'd gotten in years, so I was like, oh boy. But I couldn't ride one day, and the point is not the saddle sore, but I actually had, in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is fine. One day, as my coach always says, like missing one workout in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean anything, right? And just like if you miss one workout, it's not a big deal. It's what you do in total, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. But honestly, like during the day, like I didn't feel right. Like I didn't have equilibrium, and my day was kind of thrown out of whack because I'm like, normally I've done like a 2-hour ride. I've had my shower, I've had my shake after, and I didn't, and I was just kind of like, oh shit, like what do I do? So I ended up doing like some stretching and some calisthenics kind of thing, but like it was kind of a thing. Like, I just had to kind of tell myself like, hey, like take a minute here, like we're good.
Yeah,
like,
it's okay.
This is fine. It's better not to ride today because you don't want to make things worse. So then it was like totally fine. It actually came at a good time because that's when I had some dental work, and I also we've had some cold weather this year, but that was one of the really, really first, like I think 20-degree days where it was like blowing, like it was really windy and it was like super, super cold. Like, I, as you know, I like cold weather. I was out today, I was out Sunday, it was raining, it was cold, but, I don't like to go when it starts getting into the 20s. It's a real difference going out when it's 33 and like 25.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
It's a real difference. You have to do a lot of things differently. You have to plan your route differently. And anyway, heaven forfend if you have to pull over and fix a flat in 22-degree windy cold, conditions on the
fast,
lake.
Yeah. Yeah, especially on the lakefront.
Better get Mako. So anyway, what was my point? But no, I missed it. But I was like fine with it after. But it does happen. And pulling back a little bit, bigger picture, like I have been a lot more, I don't know, aware of like I'm still having a life, still seeing my friends, still going out, having some beers, still having a slice of pie. I'm not like going crazy.
Yeah.
Which is stuff I've done in the past before where I've gone like,
oh, for sure,
super hardcore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I might have one glass of wine in like 6 months. I was eating like a half piece of salmon and like a tiny salad. And I'm like, that's it. And I'm like, off to bed. And, just like, girlfriend's like, it's 8 o'clock. I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a cat 3. What the hell am I doing? Yeah.
It was like, I mean, it's always been a common theme with like, with girlfriends, with better halves and dealing with a bike racer. It's like, it takes someone that's very understanding, because you really do, if you're adhering to those, if you're on a strict plan it puts a real, dent in any kind of social plans. I mean, you don't really have a social life, not like normal people anyway. You're going out on a Saturday night, before a race is kind of off the table, and
if you do, you're kind of like that guy. You're like you're at the table. Everyone's ordering like queso fondito, and you're like, can I have a water and I'll have the salad? Can you put no dressing on it? And everyone's just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be that guy. But what's actually interesting is being 52 in February. I'm 51, so turning 52 soon. What's interesting is now that you're a masters racer, you actually can't train a lot. You have to reduce your training because you need more time to recover. And to recover well and to get all the benefits from that, adaptation. So like that actually kind of solves some of the problem, not all of it. It's still like something you have to be like mentally solid on, but I can't train 15 hours a week. Like, I mean, it would be hard to squeeze that time in work wise and everything else, but 15 hours would be like a huge week for me right now.
Yeah.
If I'm doing actual workouts. And that would include some endurance and tempo rides. But like if I'm doing 15 hours of actual training, like that would be huge for me right now. I'm probably doing, with racing and warm-ups and all that stuff, I'm probably doing 10 or 12.
Okay.
But I can tell the difference when I do 15. I'm like, oh man, my sleep hasn't been that great, or like, oh, my heart rate's a little funky. You have all these wearables now telling you everything every minute. But like 15 hours, like 16 hours, that's a real noticeable difference from like 12 or 11. Yeah. It's a big difference. Before I could do, way back in the day, of course I could do like 20, 25, but that was a long time ago. But even like a few years ago, like maybe 5-6 years ago when I was racing cross, like, I was probably doing 15 on the regular and maybe like 18.
Wow.
But even now it's like, ooh,
that'd be a lot. Yeah.
15 actual training, like, doing a couple really cash rides. Like if I did like 2 cash, like 4-hour rides, that's not going to be too bad, but that would only leave me with, that would only leave me with like 10, 11 hours. And you need a lot of intensity too, for cross anyway. So anyway, to bring it back. So it's been nice. I like the comeback. Enjoying it, having a lot of fun, good community.
Good.
And also just having fun, like racing the bike. Like it's fun to just like, okay, I got in the best shape I could. Let's just, you can't gain any more fitness at this point. Like your fitness is what you have, and that's it.
Yeah.
So now you just got to recover. It's like race, recover, do a couple workouts during the week. Don't go crazy at the kitchen table. Don't go out too much. But yeah, so then it's just like, I love just showing up though. We're just like big kids on bikes, like racing around like a park.
And so how do you plan to, like, are you going to take a little time off after the cross season, or, is there a need for an off season for you, or are you just going to continue on with your training plan? Kind of, maintenance, you go on a maintenance plan, and you're going to continue riding, I'm guessing, right? I mean, there's no reason not to, or.
Right. No, it's a good question. So my coach and I are going to talk. We have a coach call every Friday, but we're going to talk more after the season's officially over. We've talked a little bit about it already. But to answer your question kind of succinctly, so I definitely will take a full, complete week off the bike. Like I won't touch the bicycle for like 7 days. Like zero pedaling, zero ride. I won't even touch the bicycle. Like it'll just be over in the corner.
I can't wait to see the photos of you on the beach with those real bad, suntan marks. All
with
pasty
my
white. Oh, really so super pasty.
With my thermonuclear protection.
Oh, I can't wait till those show up in the magazines.
And my girlfriend. Finally, I see her. But no. Yeah, so a full week off the bike, which is dovetails perfectly for the holidays.
Yeah,
because it's going to be like hanging out with folks, eating, drinking. So I'll do that, and then, so a lot of these coaches and these coaching books that I've read, like they talk about training versus exercising. So like they don't, even when I start back up, it's not really training; it's more just like exercising, like kind of like do something, like go for a walk, go for a hike. If you want to ride the bike, great, but maybe ride the mountain bike or go ride the, gravel bike, or if it's a road bike, fine, whatever. But
come to the bike shop. We can do a little tug of war, kind of like those Bjarne Reese, off-season camps. We'll go
the team bonding, building camps.
Push a car in my parking lot, that kind of stuff.
Hang out with some Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
You got any old army buddies?
Yeah, let me know. Do some.
Just come over and start slapping us
river
around.
Crossings with a boat over your head, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, we'll go to the I&M Canal, jump over.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it's a lot of that, and then I definitely plan to do a full year next year.
Oh, nice.
So my goal again will be the cross season. So everything will be focused on that. So whereas a lot of roadies now are well into their off season, they've already started doing the gym work and all the other stuff. Mine is that, but just delayed. So I will take basically the rest of December off. I'll do some stuff to keep a little, moving. It may be some riding on the really nice days, but then other days I might just go to the gym. But then in January, so I'll be in Colorado. I will start doing some gym work, which I really need to do. I need to add some muscle and some power, as most of us do, I guess. But especially as you get older, it's even more important, So, as you know, because I know you're into all that too, the blogs and the podcasts and all that stuff too. You see all that. So the good thing is there's tons of info now. We have so much info about all this stuff that we kind of didn't have when we were growing up.
Yeah, it's all out there.
I remember back in the day, I would just ride my bike forever, and I was super skinny, but too skinny. I would just ride insane amounts of hours and miles, but I needed to do a lot of other stuff that I wasn't doing because I just didn't know. I'm I should just ride lots, like Eddie Merckx said.
My nutrition was so bad. Looking back, I'm man, I probably could have been, a little bit better considering how much I rode.
Sure.
And I rode so much, but I didn't take care of myself at all. I just, nutrition wasn't a nutrition on the bike. All that stuff was you take a banana here, take a little food with you, it's
one of those power bars.
Yeah. I mean, we've learned a lot obviously since then, but you think, you think back to those times and you're wow, you were kind of doing things right, but you weren't doing the other, you were missing the other half. The riding part, we all rode quite a bit, maybe too much in some cases.
That was never the problem. If anything, we rode too much.
You rode too much, and did all those things that you were rating that the pros were doing, but it was the nutrition was a huge part of it. It's just whoa, there was some missed opportunities there because it was all about starving yourself back then. Don't eat. Don't eat. You can't eat. It was all you didn't eat. They don't want you to eat.
I'd be what? You have 7% body fat, you
don't
pig.
Eat. Don't drink milk. And it's there's so what do I eat? What do I eat?
piece of green salad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be to that point though. It'll be a big focus. Will be and a lot of riders do this, but in the gym, strength and mobility, lifting heavy shit. That takes a number of months to do it proper because you got to super ease into it, no weights, and then you build up all that, and then some base. I will ride in Colorado. We're not going to be there as long this time, so I imagine I'll get in maybe 4 or 5 weeks when you shake out all the family stuff and whatnot. So I'll probably get in 4 or 5 weeks of some base. I think so. Depending, if the weather is good, it's usually good. Last year we actually got caught out. There was some unseasonable, really cold weather and storms and stuff. So I didn't get as much of that. But hopefully this year it's much more like a usual kind of bolder winter. A lot more sun and warmer temps. Not warm, but warmer. So. Yeah, I hope to get in a good bit of that. I plan to get a nice pro bike fit when I'm out there, which I'm kind of excited about. Yeah, haven't really had one in a long time. So, and then like I said, the gym work, a lot of strength and mobility, all that kind of stuff.
It's nice that the cross season kind of it's nice because essentially the whole spring and summer is your preseason, you can really kind of take it easy, do some long rides, have some fun, and then as the fall approaches, then you maybe start then you start getting maybe a little bit more focused with your rides. But essentially, the spring and summer, you're just having fun. It's really good for long rides and just meandering and, just having a little. In fact, you don't want to take it that serious because it's kind of early to be trying to dial it in before, September, so.
Yeah, I think when you're younger, you can do like 2 or 3 peaks and tapers, but I think at this age, you got like one shot.
Yeah, you're lucky to get one. Yeah. Yeah.
But I would, having said all that, I think I do want to do more gravel racing this year. I only did one last year, my first one. It was a short one, a 30 miler, which is a modest race, but it was super fun. And I don't think I'm ever going to truly burn with passion for gravel, but I think the gravel rides I did do in Boulder were like super fun. I like the fact that you're away from like traffic and tarmac. It's kind of just a nice break. It's definitely like, again, we talked like a lot of people talk about, like, it's definitely nothing really new, but it's still kind of new in a sense of like a big mainstream thing. So it is interesting to see like how big the fields can be. Like even some of those group rides we did in Boulder, I mean, they were just like Saturday morning rides from like a shop, and we had like 50 people in them. And everyone had like a proper like gravel like race bike. And it was like guys and gals, young and old, like every type. And it was like, wow, this is what gravel is. Like, okay, I get it now. Like I see. So I do plan to do some gravel riding. I'll turn my current cross bike into a gravel bike automatically, with some like fatter tires and stuff. But I want to do some of that. I'm not going to go crazy. If I do like half dozen the whole spring, summer, that's fine. That's kind of like a number I have in my head, but we'll see how things go. There's some that I wouldn't mind like traveling to, like some of the, I'd like to do like one of those like big crazy ones. They have that lifetime series, and I don't even know how that works, if that's just for like the elites, but something like that where it's just like a big, they have the Melting Man in Michigan. They have like all these different ones.
Yeah. The Midwest has some real classic gravel races that might interest you, and
Michigan has like a bunch. I know Illinois and Wisconsin, and
and I bet there'll be
Iowa
more next year too. I'm sure there's a whole slew of them. That's where the growth is, with racing, and I mean, there's certainly not more crits on the calendar, but there's more and more gravel races all the time. They're just somebody I'm not even aware of until I'm prepping somebody's bike to go there, so.
And I think, they're very much an endurance event versus like cross, which is that super short, punchy, hard, spicy efforts. But, that maybe, can suit me pretty well. Who knows? We'll see. As long as there isn't too much elevation.
It's good training. It's good training either way. I mean, it's just base for you, right? I mean, it's just kind of, approaching it that way. It's a really good thing.
And I think just getting some skills, because obviously some of the courses are more technical than others. I like that I've been watching some of the videos. Drew Dillman, I think his name is. He does some really cool stuff on YouTube, but like some of the gravel, it's just this wide open gravelly like farm roads, but then they go into like single track, and then he's like, oh, I can use my cross skills here. And I don't know, some of that is like appealing because it kind of reminds me of just like going back to like what racing really was, where it was like, it's not always like perfectly scripted. There isn't always like, a perfect set of barriers everywhere and this sort of thing. So anyway, I'd like to do some of that. And then, coach is going to work with me a lot on doing a lot of strength and conditioning. And then we'll talk more about, just like the cadence of all the training, which I'm pretty excited for. I feel like I have a really good, I'm coming out of a good year. I think I'll have about 5,000 miles come December 31st, which isn't anything crazy. But if you told me I was going to do 5, like earlier in the year, I'd be like, oh, really? Maybe dial that back, and, 5, I know a lot of people who have written a lot more than 5, but 5 is pretty decent from where I started. And I was like 217 on Christmas last year, and I'm 200 now. So
wow,
I dropped 17.
Feels good, right?
It feels good, but I did it so gradually that I didn't really feel it. Like in the past, I've dropped weight like too quickly, and like you notice it. Like feel like you're kind of walking around a little airheaded. You're like, I got up too quick because you don't have like the right nutrition in your body. Yeah. But this year I did it like super, super carefully. Maybe even a little bit too much. Probably not, but like super steady. Like I look back, I use the Weight Gurus app. I have this like fancy scale. It gives you all your, your muscle and body fat and all that stuff. One of those ones. but it has like a really nice color coded like chart, and it shows you like the trajectory, and it breaks it down. And kind of just like almost every single month, I was just like 1 or 2 pounds, like 1 or 2 pounds. So it was just like, it was kind of a very perfect thing. And then it shows you how much muscle you put on. And you know, those things aren't like obviously 100% accurate, but they're a good directional kind of data point.
It's so helpful to track your weight. You know, so like if anybody out there is listening and you're, you know, thinking about, you know, trying to lose a little bit of weight, it really helps to just do it every day. You have to be consistent. You know, I do it every day before I, you know, before I do anything, I get on the scale, you know. Maybe I go use the, you know.
You should definitely use the bathroom first.
Use the bathroom first, you know. I'm kind of like a boxer. So
especially living on the south side with Billy Boys and all those establishments.
But then, you know, I'll jump on first, you know, before I go and have like water or coffee or anything, you know, like I'll get on. I strip down like, you know, like a boxer style, you know.
Yep.
And every morning, you know, that's like you know, and it's cool because if you do it long enough and you pay attention, you start realizing like what foods have what effect on you.
You know the Kate Moss quote. Nothing tastes better than being skinny.
Well, you know what? She's got a bit of a point. You know, I mean, 3-4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe now, I was like 40 pounds heavier than I am right now.
Oh, wow, man.
Almost 40. Yeah, about 40 pounds.
You dropped 40. Good for you, man. You dropped 40.
Yeah. I mean, it happened, actually, it happened super fast. Kind of like that first winter, you know, it was like right after Thanksgiving. I'm like, man, I got to do something about this. You know, that's it. You know, like that.
I can't see my shoes.
Oh, that Thanksgiving was like me. You know, it was like leaving Las Vegas. You know, it was like locked up in a hotel room. It's just turkey legs and, you know, sweets, rah, 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 you know, passed out. I'm like, oh man, next day I'm like, I got to do something, man. Ambulance is going to come and get me. And, you know, that's when I started getting on the bike and all of that. And
good for you, man. But
I lost the weight really fast. Like I lost that 35, 40 pounds, like by the spring.
Wow, that is fast.
Yeah, Rita was out of town. I was like a soup only. I was, you know, it went really fast. And then, you know, I lost a lot of muscle along the way, and then I've gained weight again, you know, and now I'm like back. Now I'm like trying to, I guess, just trying to fix things a little bit. You know, like I started riding as well, but I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't getting any faster. You know, I wasn't getting any stronger. And it's just because I had lost the weight so quickly. You know, so
yeah. One thing I have learned is honestly, even with like some of the coaches I've had, they actually don't talk about. They get kind of like quiet on the call, like if I mention like losing weight or anything like that. So a lot of times because you know, it's obviously can be a very serious subject for some people because a lot of cyclists do have eating disorders and stuff. But one thing I've learned is, fortunately, I don't think I've ever been there, but you definitely want to be aware of it. But one thing I've learned is they talk a lot more about body composition versus quote losing weight. And so the idea being, all the times I've lost a lot of weight, I've lost a lot of muscle. So you know, it'd be better to be overweight and have power than to be underweight and have no power. It's always a truism. So no, so it's been about, you know, just I'm honestly just psyched to get in the gym and just lift a lot of heavy shit. And the thing is, you know, weight actually comes off by doing that too. So it's not going to be just about like counting calories, calorie restriction. There's like some little element of that. I think some coaches are very strict about not pursuing that, and I understand why. And that's not really my thing either, because I don't really count calories. I use MyFitnessPal as kind of just a general guide. Like I'll put in like a new food or energy drink or something just to kind of see how it rates up with all the nutrients and like the macros and stuff. But I don't like log everything every single day. I found like I have done that in the past. It helps early on, but after a while, like I have a pretty good intuitive sense. Like if I know if I have like 2 clean meals, like breakfast and lunch, and then I have like pizza for dinner, like I know, like, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of erased it. But you know what? Going back to what we talked about before, that's okay sometimes, because one meal doesn't ruin your whole week of eating clean.
Yeah, you just have to be good, you know,
Yeah,
next
you just
few days after. You can't
or
do it
just
every day.
or just don't do it like another day that week or
Correct.
2 days that week. So
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, we talk a lot more about body composition, just adding lean muscle is the goal. And the weight will come. So I think when I was racing in 2019, I was 190.
Wow.
So I'm currently 10 over that. But I think at this time right now, I'm also stronger. Like I think I have more like muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Not like visually dramatically so, but like I have more power than I had then. So it's not always apples and oranges. I'm sorry, it's not always apples to apples. So I think in some ways I'm faster than I was then and like more durable, but at the same time I wasn't quite as light. But I'd probably rather take what I have now than what I had then because my results are better. For sure.
Good.
Yeah, like noticeably better. That's where cross results is pretty fun. You can go look at all your past data. It has
your history there and all of that.
Yeah. And you can do head to head like other riders and stuff. But anyway, so that's the plan for the new year. I'm excited. Some gravel racing. I'll probably do some crit racing, but they have the practice crits here. They do a series on Tuesday nights. Maybe something more like that. I may do a handful of actual crits, but we're talking literally like a handful or two. And those, when I say crits, maybe it's going to be like a circuit race, or maybe there's a road race or two, but it's pretty limited. I don't plan to do 60 races next year or anything crazy. I can see doing like maybe a half dozen road races and maybe a half dozen gravel races at most.
Yeah.
But just a lot of good riding, good training. I'd like to take a couple of bike trips. Talked about going to Spain. Love to go for like a week, 10 days. Just do a lot of good, fun, like riding, like decent training, good training actually, but like just having a lot of fun and like seeing like some good new places. Cause I don't know Spain super well, even though I've been there a couple of times, but I haven't really ridden there. So,
this last year, I put a little group together at the shop and with some of the employees and some customers, and we started doing these Sunday getaways, and exploring some various trails and stuff. And it was fun. It was just kind of fun to ride like a normal person. And I look forward to doing a little bit more of that. The response from people, from our customers and potential new customers has been kind of surprising, kind of eye-opening. A lot of people want to take part in what we're doing. And so, and they seem like fun people, like people that would be interesting to go on rides with, and just eager to learn, eager to make friends. I just it's been the bike business and the bike world has been so void of that in the last 20 years where, just kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed bike riders, it's like, wow, you're excited to ride bikes. Oh yeah, we just want to learn, and and willing to take advice, and it's really nice. It's nice to be finding these people, because now, as the older person, as the wise bike shop owner, people like seek you out and want to hear what you have to say. And it's just like, wow, man, all this stuff that you've accumulated in your brain all these years is useful to people. And just kind of embracing that point in life, where you and I are now like experienced and somewhat experts in what we do. Just because there's nobody else around.
You ain't lying. I mean, it's really the grassroots, right? I mean, that's in my experience, that's some of the most fun and memorable, like riding, that community, even if it's just like 12 oddballs or 6 oddballs getting together in sneakers and just riding bikes. Like, that's some of the best memories I have. One of the best rides I ever did, I think ever, was, I talked about it once before on the pod, but was in New York, and it was with Bike Snob.
You mentioned
NYC. And, I showed up with this other guy. We were like roadies, and I was on this insane, like fancy bike and all kitted up, had my race shoes on. I just didn't know. I assumed it was going to be that kind of ride. But then there was like a dude who showed up, and he was one of the strongest guys in the whole group ride when we went up this one climb. He was in cutoffs and sneakers and like white tube socks. And he had like this commuter bike. and it wasn't even like a drop bar bike. And anyway, whatever. So like, but those rides were so great. Like we went through like these woods. We stopped at a brewery.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. We went a little bit fast, but mostly chill. And it was just like so much fun. And everyone's exchanging numbers and like, let's do it. It was the first one. And it was like, let's just do this again. It was called the Grand Fondant.
Oh, really?
So not Grand Fondo. So that's Bike Snob, the genius that he is.
Yeah.
He always comes up with these great names for things. It's one of his real genius kind of things about him. But anyway, to your point, though, that's really cool. I remember you posted a lot of those. Those look like so much fun. I was actually like, oh, man, I wish I could do that. Because you get locked into kind of like the scene. And if you're just always hitting like, Sheridan Road, hit it up and like, okay, I got to do my intervals. I have to ride 23 miles an hour. Like, sometimes you kind of miss just like, oh, it'd be kind of fun to like cruise along with some folks and hit the trails. And
I made it a real point this year to like go. I wanted to go see these bike paths. I want to go ride on a Sunday when there were a lot of people riding, just to see what people were riding and what they were experiencing. Because it'd been a long time since I, closed the shop on a Sunday. Closed the shop on a Sunday during the season and went out and rode a bicycle. And I learned a lot from, it was just kind of interesting. It was interesting to see the people out there. It was interesting to visit some of these places and ride the bike trails and see what people are riding, and then, the other thing I was surprised by was the fact that I actually got pretty fit doing these rides. I mean, there's you pick and choose some of these moments during the ride where you just take off, or you go a little harder than everybody else, and you can vary your ride a little bit and get, just dial up the intensity just enough that, it makes a difference, I guess, because at the end of the summer, I was feeling really good on the bike,
So the little bird came and you attacked the two Isas.
Yeah. Or trying to keep up with one of the little Isas, it was like
she's the Energizer Bunny, isn't
man,
she?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, she's pretty strong. So, you
Big Ed in the back. The tail.
Yeah. I would use him as a good excuse to drift back and take it easy. Like, I'm going to go make sure nobody falls behind,
He might need a power bar.
Yeah. So, but it was fun.
Those are fun.
It was fun. It was fun. Also just kind of, dealing with big groups, of varied riders, like varied experience on a bike, people with varying experience on a bike, and just learning how to corral big groups of, groups of people.
That's a skill in itself, because, like you said, it's not just that people are slow per se. It's more just like they don't maybe have the riding skills, or they don't like think about things like, oh, it's cool now, but it's gonna be hot later. So what do I do for hydration? And just like all these like little things that actually can be really big if they're kind of botched,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's automatic. That's why I was saying, about our experience. It's like, to you and I, it's automatic, right? Oh, hill's coming, shift now. Don't shift when you're in the middle of the hill. Yeah. drink some water. You better start eating right now. It's just like stuff we're doing without thinking about it. You're like, wow, you have stuff to offer these people. They're looking for it. And
you should do like a big, I know you have some photos, but you should do like a big, just like cork board or something. Grab one from like Costco or whatever.
Yeah.
And then get some Polaroids, or just, take some photos with your phone or whatever, like out on those rides. Get a couple of fun group shots, a couple of ride shots, because you have some of them already, I'm sure. And then just print them out. And kind of nice, and just kind of splatter them on the board and just keep adding to that. And then like you can, I don't know, if I came in and saw that, I'd be like, oh, what's this? So, how at bars you have some of those like college bars where they put like drunk photos of kids all over, like, but like do it for like your bike rides. That could be kind of fun. I don't know, and promote it. That's a good way to do it as well. Get some business as well, because people are going to have to come in and grab stuff as well.
I've identified some people that might want to lead some rides for us, because it might be tough to do these rides on our own, but I know some people that are experienced bike packers, people that are very experienced.
Iditarod guy.
Yeah, him. And I know somebody else, another guy, are a little older than you and I, but he does some big bikepacking trips, and he's like a dad and, nice guy and just super pleasant. Like I really like him. and he's retired now, and just looking for something to do. And
That'd be great.
Yeah. The idea of leading some bike tours and sharing his knowledge appeals to him. And he just circled through the shop recently and told me he was ready to start doing that, because there's a lot of people I was talking to this stuff. I've been, it's not the first time I think about it, but the last 3 years really disrupted people's lifestyles and it
communities too.
Yeah, it just kind of flipped, turn things on end. And it's been nice over the last year to have some of these people circle back and say, "Hey, remember that thing we were talking about a few years ago?
Yeah,
I'm ready to do it. Let's try for next year." I'm like, that's great. I still want to do it. I was just waiting for you to come through. So
great. I think that's cool. I think people want to get back to a sense of community, because you just hear. I mean, you hear this a lot too about loneliness is like this silent killer, this epidemic. That people aren't always transparent about. But I think those go a long way. And actually, it's funny you were talking there. One of the more memorable rides I had, I mean, all the rides I did in Colorado were amazing, but even just that kind of simple, easy, short ride I did with AJ that one day where we stopped by the shop, that was so much fun. Like I wanted it to be 10 times longer and just for the duration, just to be out there all day, but we had to cut it kind of short. But it was great. We had so much fun. And, it was fun getting on the train with your bikes. It was kind of like being young again and going on a little adventure. It was super fun. And, it was a hot day, I think, and ended up at a brewery, which unfortunately closed down. But then had to hop back to the big city. It was just a cool little outing. And just rides like that are super fun. We were riding super chill on AJ's new kind of built up bike. And, I was cruising on an e-bike. It was great,
Yeah, there was some of the rides this summer, over the last summer, I found myself we were, because of the area we were in, because of the road we were next to, we had to ride the sidewalks, And it
Welcome
really
to Chicagoland.
Yeah, it just reminded me of being a little kid, riding your bike on the sidewalk. It was just kind of, I'm like, wow.
Taking the Southwest Highway to Orland Park.
Yeah. And so
you're like, I gotta ride. It was always so humbling when you get on the sidewalk. You're like, oh. Now I'm just kind of you know what? I do it. Because there are a lot of places I ride where, I mean, I could ride on the road, but it's very narrow for 2 lanes, and it's a high speed zone, especially over all those bridges you have going over the Kennedy and stuff. There's a ton of those scenarios. I'm in them all the time where I'm like, you know what? There's not a soul on the bike on the sidewalk. I'm just gonna jump the curb and then just pedal over and get back on the road, because people, you know how it is. People hit those bridges so fast. For some reason, everyone thinks they're Max Verstappen. All of a sudden, they're just doing they gun it.
Yeah.
For no reason. They just feel like they got to gun it over the bridge. And I'm like, I don't want to be under an SUV today or any other day. But yeah, I think those are fun rides, the grassroots rides. And it seems like you guys have a good crew, good community.
Yeah, it's taken a while.
I think you should grow that.
It's taken a little while to rebuild the team, just the little group, they change. There's turnover at the shop. There's turnover in staff, and sometimes it takes a little while. And it's certainly not the first time that staff has turned over, and it's the second or third time, where you're bringing new people in and just trying to get everyone to gel. And last year, by the time the year was ending, we had a nice little group going. It was a shame that fall and winter showed up, because we kind of lost our, we had a lot of momentum going into late fall, winter, and now I went to Spain in September. So, when I came back, a lot of those people don't ride when it's cold. They're fair weather cyclists, I guess. But nothing wrong with that. It's cool. It's a lot of my customers. They only ride when the weather's nice, and once the weather's not nice, they hang it up. Although I think, given the opportunity, and if we're able to show them how, they might be willing to tackle, some cooler weather riding, because it's actually, the fall riding is really nice. It's amazing. Underrated in Chicago, really. So
I would actually go so far to say that winter riding is underrated, because the thing about winter in Chicago, so everyone makes like a huge deal out of it. And to some extent, that's true. It can be gnarly, especially if you're like, I don't know, standing on an L train track, like in the, the rain is sideways and it's like 30 degrees. Like I get it, but call me crazy, but we actually don't have a lot of those days. We have the ones we do have, I think, are just so extreme that they leave people with this like PTSD almost. But from my point of view, and I'd like to think I have a good sense of it because I'm out in the element riding through the winter. Obviously, if there's snow or 20-degree weather, like that's, I get, I'm probably not going to be riding. But what I'm saying is like a lot of winter days aren't really that bad. And I get it if people don't want to ride in the winter, but I think kind of analogous to what you're saying with fall, there are way more nice days than really bad days is the point. So if you don't mind riding when it's like 35, 37, 33, whatever, there's actually a ton of nice days out there. I mean, it can be sunny, dry. I tend to not go out if it's super cold and wet because it's just kind of a recipe for like a lot of things going wrong on the bike, in your body, on the road, what have you. But there are a lot of days that really aren't that bad.
Yeah, well,
I can't quantify them offhand, but it's actually way, way overstated, like how, quote, bad Chicago winters are, from my point of view.
They've gotten milder and milder for sure. Or, so it's, to the point now where I don't even do a lot of fat bike business like I used to just because there's very little opportunity to ride in the snow. And this is just over the last, the last 10 years,
Isn't this scary? The environmental crisis. It's real, folks.
And, I'm being located across the street from the bike path. I have a lot of customers that still come through in the winter, that are riding. They'll ride as long as it's dry. In some cases, as long as there's no ice on the path, they're out riding. And it's a pretty interesting cross section of people. I have a customer who comes in and he bought a Raleigh, like a carbon fiber Raleigh road bike, probably 15, judging by the components that are in his bike, maybe 15 to 20 years ago. And he rides. I mean, he rides so much. I've got to change his chain rings, his entire drivetrain on a yearly basis. Like,
wow.
By this time of the year, his chain rings are sharp. Like his chain rings that I probably put on in February of last year or March, or earlier this year, they're probably all completely worn out, like scary sharp, pointy. I mean, like this guy rides a lot, and in jeans.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's like in jeans, and at this time of the year, he's just riding with some gloves that he picked up at Home Depot, like no riding gear or anything. He's just
monster.
Oh, yeah. 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 Just long johns, jeans, winter jacket, some big earmuffs, and he just rides. He rides every day, and there's a bunch of people like that who just get out there and ride, they don't call themselves cyclists, they ride bikes.
So look, I was just looking at the forecast for December.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like me, I don't put a lot of stock into forecasts, like unless it's like within a day or two. I just feel like the weather changes so much. But having said that, generally speaking, how many days would you guess are forecast? We're now on November 29th, Wednesday. So looking at December, next month, how many days of the whole month would you guess are forecast to be freezing or below?
10?
0.
Wow.
So we have highs of 50 early in the month, 40s, and then 30s, and it gets down to 32, so close to freezing. But there are no days, at least for highs. I'm sorry, for highs. Let's say you're going out like at 2 o'clock or 1 or noon or something every day where it's the warmest in theory. There are no days that are actually freezing.
Well, I did read that we are in an El Nino year, so
yes, that makes a difference.
Yeah, apparently we're up for fairly mild and dry winter around here, so we'll see.
And these are ambient temperatures, not real feel, so of course it could be colder. But just going off this, trying to like rationalize what I was saying earlier. So like in January, there are no days. There's only one day that's 31. That's technically below freezing in terms of the highs all of January. Now, of course, the real feel is going to be colder, and we'll see how this forecast pans out. And looking at February, just to finish up here, getting warmer. 40s are back.
Wow.
In February. So who knows? I'm not like a big alarmist. I do believe in the environmental crisis. Like I do believe in climate change and all of that. Of course, I think most people do at this point. But anyway, my whole point is just like, I like getting out there. One of the cool benefits is when you hit the lakefront path, and I'm sure it goes for some paths out by you too. If it's like I went out today and there were actually a handful of people out. You always get like the hardcore runners, and I think it's obviously not as cold when you're running versus riding a bike, but saw a handful of cyclists out there. But I went out Sunday and it was cold but also rainy, and there were people out but not a lot. And one of the cool things, depending on what time you go to, you have the lakefront path to yourself, effectively. Like you might go out there and see 6 bike riders. And I might ride, 10 miles down the lakefront path and 10 miles up. I might see like 6 to 12 max.
Wow.
Total bike riders. Like when it's like 35, even if it's sunny.
Really?
Yeah, and if it gets, if the real feels like closer to 30, hovering around freezing, like I might see 6 or fewer.
Wow,
it's really like your own.
You really have it.
Path. Yeah, you have your own. Yeah, you'll see occasional runners, stuff like that. Some hardcore.
Oh, that's such a nice thing to have. Yeah. It's nice to be able to take advantage of that when you're at this time of the year. Because I would have imagined there's still there's so many more people riding bikes in Chicago these days. Although I guess they're in the city. They're not off the bike path. Now there's options. It used to be in Chicago that was the only bike path really, like to get north and south. Yeah. It was the bike path, but now you've got protected bike lanes. You have a lot of options within the city. Inland that don't require you to go to the lakefront. But back in the day, the lakefront was it as far as making some being able to do some distance north and south in the city. So
yeah, so a lot of nice benefits. It's pretty cool. Obviously, I like riding when there's people out there too, but it's kind of cool. Like you'll be pedaling for a little bit, and you're like, oh, there's no one on the path. Like,
yeah.
I got this path. I don't listen to headphones when I ride in traffic ever, but on the bike path, I will listen to headphones.
Okay.
Maybe half the time, music or an audiobook or something. But I might put on some tunes, start cruising along, and it's kind of nice. Like you have this one of the world's greatest skylines, like right there. It's pretty cool.
It's a good view. Yeah, I mean, you do feel like you get the sense of being in the big city when you're riding your bike on the lakefront.
Oh yeah,
it's still pretty impressive. Yeah, to be riding along there if you've never done it. It's well, if you've never done it, that means you're coming to Chicago. That means you're listening to our show. And so if you're coming to Chicago and you want to ride up and down the Chicago bike path, contact us. And we might even ride a bike with you up and down the lakefront, right?
Why not?
This offer does not to nobody. This does not apply to anybody in the Chicagoland area.
No cash value.
Yeah, but if you're coming over from, you're one of those London listeners, someone in the UK. Where else do we have some?
Oh, you had a guy from Bristol in your shop when I was there the other day.
Oh, that's right. It was very international. Yeah, I did have somebody from Bristol
who lives in San Fran, but from Bristol, and so we're ripping out all the best bands we could think of from Bristol.
Yeah,
I don't think he was actually that impressed.
He was not. He was just
kind of like, yeah, great.
He's like, give me my bike, get me out of here. And I was like,
Portishead, massive attack.
I'm like,
are
you Banksy? And nothing. He didn't give me anything. And then I got stuck. after he left and after you left, it finally came to my head what I mentioned like the Bristol Shuffle to him. Like I'm like, there's some sort of dance. There's a dance. There's some sort of dance from Bristol.
He's like, I've never heard that.
Northern Soul is what it is. It's like
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Northern Soul, and there's like this whole scene in that area for it's like really cool dancing. Actually, it's really interesting to see these people get together in clubs.
Are you a big dancer, Joe? I didn't know this.
Under the right circumstances, I don't mind dancing.
What's that mean?
It's just it has to be the right mix of things.
So you got to be in Alicante, a couple tequila shots on the beach.
Definitely in Spain. I don't do a lot of domestic dancing, but another one of those great things about Europe, Danny, is you can be a man our age in the middle of a dance floor and dance, and nobody looks sideways at you. You just look like every other old dude like us, just out there dancing.
Polyester pants.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I love. Yeah.
No, he was funny because I was just kind of hanging out and you were dealing with him, but he just reminded me of this one skit from this Irish comedy. It's called Unbelievables, but it's a sketch thing where the one actor, he's like Eddie Murphy, he plays like 5 characters. But anyway, he has this tiny little candy shop and a million jars of like candies, and they're all like 2 cents. And this little kid comes in and he's like, how much of them? And he's like, oh, those are 2. And he's like, how much of them? And he's like, those are 2. So he goes on, and the kid's just driving him nuts. But just in the sense that he kept being like, oh yeah, and I need a helmet.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I need locks.
Yeah.
He's like, I need water bottles. Like, just every time I think he's done, he's like, oh, and I need this.
Yeah, I know.
And then he wheeled everything out to his car, and I'm like, how's he getting that in his car? It was kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of people like that, Danny. I get a lot of foreigners coming out to rent bikes. It's just such a normal part of my day to day there on the weekends that I forget sometimes. But I'm glad you were there to see it, because it's it's just random dude from Bristol.
You have a lot of patience.
Hey, oh yeah.
You exude patience. It comes out of your pores, like. Because he had like flown in, nice guy. He had flown in, but apparently he said he rode mountain bikes in Marin County and San Francisco.
He lived out there, yeah.
But he had like nothing with him. He was like plain clothes, like in sneakers and jeans. He's like, I want to rent this mountain bike. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need this and that. And it was kind of funny. I was just like, all right, cool.
I'm like, you don't want to lock a bike in the city.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't have locks. A lock. I'm like, we got the mountain bike trails right behind us. We don't.
I was actually very keen. I was purposely just biting my tongue, but I was like, I wonder what Joe's going to say. And you said exactly what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So no,
like, it's even out there. Yeah,
it's cool. It's interesting. It's interesting to get their point of view. Because a lot of these people are coming from they're experienced riders, and if they're going through the trouble of coming out from the city to rent a mountain bike for their 3 or 4 to 5 day stay in the Chicagoland area, they're pretty serious. They must be pretty serious. I've had people like, fly into O'Hare, grab an Uber directly from O'Hare, come to the bike shop with their suitcases, change in the shop, get on a bike, ride for 2 or 3 hours, come back, change, and go downtown for their high high level meeting.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm like,
those are the people who are addicted.
Yeah.
Like I got to ride. I got to get the endorphins. I got to ride.
Yeah. And they're always impressed. They're always pretty impressed with what we have, considering it's so close to the city, and it's usually different from wherever they're coming from, and so they, it's a nice thing. They're usually nobody ever comes off and really complains, and most people have really nice things to say about the trail system. So
very cool. I actually want to hit that trail between now and Colorado. I want to come out. I don't know if I'll rent one of your
just take one of my just take one of our mountain bikes.
I wonder if could I do it on a cross bike or no? Like some trails or no?
It's a little tricky. Right now I wouldn't do it because there's a lot of leaves down. It's hard to see the ruts and all that stuff. So it's
I'll just grab one of the mountain bikes then.
Yeah. Just go putt around. They're perfect.
So, would I do it on flat pedals with like sneakers or what?
Yep, that's what I would recommend. Yeah, it's super easy. It's just fun. Yeah, just go tool around. That's just
fun. Yeah. But that was super fun. And then who was the young lad who came in who was flying out? Was he just coming to kind of say goodbye? Had he been in for the holidays or something? He was going back to Fort Lewis or Fort
Collins.
Fort Collins.
Oh, that was Victor. That was one of my former employees. You know,
he was a former employee. Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, he's a young kid who started at the shop when he started coming in when he was like 13 years old, and
oh wow,
now he's 21, 22 years old and living the life out there in Colorado.
Nice.
He's in Fort Collins, and now he's going to go to.
Is it Missoula? No. Bozeman.
Bozeman. Yeah. He's going to be a snowboard instructor, and
I hear that's a hot spot.
Yeah. He's going to go spend the winter out there and do that. And he's a white water rafting guide during the summer, and he's just kind of living
Colorado.
Oh yeah. He's just kind of living his life right now, you know. And it's great. He came in when he came into the shop. He was, you know, when he was graduating high school. And he graduated like at the height of first COVID year, like I think was going to be his first year in college. So he got stuck at home, and he was going to go to school to be a physical therapist, you know. But I remember we stayed at the shop late one night, and he's like, you know, I'm like, is that really what you want to do? You don't seem like a physical therapist type. You know, like, you know, I know what a physical therapist looks like, and I know the lifestyle of a physical therapist. It doesn't look like that. He's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like something I'd like. I mean, it seems okay. And I'm like, is that all you want? Like, is that what you want?
Is that your,
like, that's your dream? Is like, well, what else should I do? I'm like, I don't know what else you should do, but you seem like someone who likes to have fun in the outdoors and stuff. You're going to school out in Colorado. I'm like, keep your options open, man. You know, it's like, it's like, have some fun. Right now is the time. But,
you know, that's cool though. But, you know, it goes to show you, like with young kids, like, and we're all there, like super impressionable, and like, you don't realize how important your words can be.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it seems like a throwaway line or something, like, you know, they might, you know, roll that up and take that with them.
It's a really, really great kid. Yeah. Just you know, a bike shop success story. So yeah.
Nice, man.
Yep.
So everything else is good.
Yeah. Things are going great. Things are going actually really good. I had an electrician in the shop, the other day, and we got our construction putting together our construction plan, you know, for some of the work that we're doing at the store. So yeah, good.
Nice.
Things are coming along. I can't wait. It's almost like opening a new shop, you know.
Nice.
Except with the advantage of already having an established shop, and you know, just kind of being able to redesign things and kind of do it more purposely, you know, purpose-built displays and things like that. So it's going to be a lot. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'm having fun with it. So
I saw your fancy new phone system. Looks really sleek.
Yes. Yeah. We got phone.
I saw it in action going to your mobile.
Yeah. It was
that was very fancy.
Oh, I was you know, the other day I was in our storage room where we keep repairs, and I was just walking through there, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, there's these repairs that haven't been picked up, and I just like I put a text together on my phone, and I copied and pasted and sent it out to everybody who had a bike in there. Like, hey, just a reminder, you got a bike in here. And I got like 3 instant responses from people, and
nice.
I'm like, holy cow, we are in this is like the Jetsons. I'm in the future.
The Jetsons. Well, don't forget your drinks display or your drinks
cooler. Yeah,
you got fridge. The cooler. You got to get that thing going.
The Daniel McMahon Memorial Cooler.
He's still alive, but
yeah. It's okay. We're gonna call it the Daniel McMahon Memorial Cooler.
It's so ominous.
Yes, it'll be awesome. Yeah, but
cool,
yeah,
man.
we'll work
Glad
all
to
that
hear
stuff
things
in.
are going well.
Yeah, things are going good. We'll have a bigger and better report. Hopefully, next time we record. But
are you gonna have? Sorry, are you gonna have a holiday party?
I was thinking about that. It might coincide with my big bike project, which I'm in the midst of. I've got it partially built. I actually had to order like $500 worth of tools in order to prep the frame. We're using this. Well, let's get geeky because this is a bike themed podcast. T47 which is like a bottom bracket standard.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any of those. I didn't have any of those taps to chase the threads of the bottom bracket steel frame, and I needed a facer tool as well to face the bottom bracket. So I ordered all these tools on Tuesday.
It's an investment, right? You'll use them again, probably.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, especially if I'm working with the builders in Spain, they like that T47 standard, and I think we're going to see more and more of it coming our way. And yeah, it's nice to be ready for it. It's good.
That's cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
So this holiday party, let me know because I'd like to crash it. Maybe you can have some pizzas and hang out at the shop. And
yeah, I wasn't thinking about it, but
notice how I just invited myself.
No, I know there's so many people that want to see this that have been kind of.
It could be really fun. I would totally come down, even if it's just a Saturday afternoon or something.
Yeah, people have been along on the journey of this bike. Like just some customers and friends of mine. People that are asking about this bike, or people that just want to see it. And I, it's partially built now. And the other day I was looking at this thing in the shop, and I took an extra large gravel bike and placed it next to the bike, just
for scale.
Yeah. And I, give me a second. I'm going to send it to you, but this is very private, Danielito.
Okay. Top secret. No leaks.
Yeah. It's,
because the person for whom this bike is being custom built is a rather large person.
Yes.
Quite large.
So you should have a photo coming over to you.
Like bigger than 99% of people.
And
I think that's no exaggeration.
Did you see that?
Just got it. Let me look here. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's cool, man.
It's really neat. But I mean, to see it in the store is just, it looks like it looks like one of those oversized displays, like, if you like a giant shoe that you would have, like, look, we sell shoes. I've been living with this thing for the last 3 years, concepting and all that.
Virtually and in real life.
Yeah. So, partly I've been kind of fatigued by it. I just kind of wanted to get this over with. But now when I was putting it together the other day, I'm like, wow, this thing is really ridiculous. And, it makes sense that it took a long time to design it. You basically, this didn't exist before we actually built it,
Ooh, I think he's going to like it.
Yeah, I think so too. He's seen some photos of it. I've sent him some pictures, but I think I really want to see him next to it and the scale of it and all of that.
Oh yeah, you gotta like a million. You gotta get a million photos and some videos and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the plan is.
Do you think it'll be done in the next couple of weeks, or is that too aggressive?
I'm trying to, because that's why because I also have to drive out and deliver it. So that's why I thought, well, there might there's a lot of people that want to see it. Maybe I just have a little holiday party, and I debut this bike. I just kind of it's a nice little thing to hang there. So
nice big thing to hang.
Yeah. People can look at it and see it, and there's been a lot of questions about it, and it's actually really impressive when you see it. People freak out when they just seeing the wheels laying around the bike shop, like, whoa, just the wheels alone. But to see it in the bike, it's the first time where I've really been able to just stand the bike up and lean it.
Man, I'm just imagining him on that and just how big that bike is and the wheels. Like, imagine that guy like coming by you on the bike path. You're like, whoa!
I was thinking about him walking into a bike shop and asking for air with this thing. It's just like this thing is going to blow people's minds. I mean, it's just going to wherever he goes, it's going to be like, holy cow. And lately I've seen a lot of. I think we've mentioned these are 36-inch wheels, so it's not. It's not that no one's ever built a bike with 36-inch wheels. It's just, custom, and
you don't see them very often.
You don't. It's a real oddity. It's a real oddity, and I did just recently see something from GCN or somebody where they were playing with a 36-inch wheel bike, and
I mean, it kind of looks like a circus bike in a way. Like it won't for him because he's a huge guy. Like it'll look perfect to scale, but like. If one of us were near it, like it looks like a circus bike. You'd be kind of like a penny farthing almost. Well, like, how do you get on that thing?
You'll own that photo, Danny. You'll have a photo of you holding that bike. It'll be one of those gag photos that everybody.
Oh, nice!
Like, look at this.
Well, if you could do it before we go to Colorado, I think we're leaving right before Christmas Eve. That'd be ideal, sir.
Well, yeah, we got a month, so I mean, if I can clear out the bike shop and do all that stuff, yeah.
But it would be fun to have a little wrap party for the year. We can get some pizzas, hang out a little bit, have some fun. That'd be cool. Let's see if we can put it together. But let me know.
I will try. Well, you know what? I'll report back next show. How about that?
Sweet. And the one Isa is flying in, right? She'll be in for the holidays. Will she be in by Christmas?
Yeah, she's coming in the next 10 days or so. So we'll get a little lowdown, get the lowdown from her and see how she's enjoying college.
Get Big Ed, the banking magnate in.
Yeah, get some of the people that went on the rides with us. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'd be super fun.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's try to get that happening. That would be super fun, and I'll have to bring some sort of gag gift for you.
There you go. You know what you could bring? You bring the.
Should I bring the RC colas?
No, bring the power cord for that trainer that you dropped on us.
Shit. So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
So we can.
All right. So I have it in a bag on my wall, my door.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring it.
We'll set up the Zwift to make people barf. It's like we'll do time trials. 1,000 watts.
If you do 1,000 watts after eating some special,
there you go,
pepperoni pizza and some RC colas.
It's exactly the kind of hijinks we want at the Christmas party.
Oh, we should totally do that.
Yeah, drunken Zwift.
Oh, jeez. That's a new thing. It'll be a TikTok thing.
There you go. All right, Danny.
All right, dude. Catch you later.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Adios.
See ya.